Hey everyone, it's me. I just want to let you know the video you're about to see was recorded on the 12th of May, following the performance of the Vegas Eternal versus the London Spitfire. Obviously now I am recording this video after the Vegas Eternal took a map from the New York Excelsior, and I feel pretty vindicated in what I say last night about what happens today. So I hope you enjoy it. I don't think there's a terrible lot to really analyze here, although I might do something about it later. We'll see with the Nixel game, but I hope you enjoyed this one anyway. All right, see ya. Hey, it's me, Dan Pixel. I'm a little pissed off right now. I just did, I was going over a play-by-play review of the first, not the first, but the King's Row map between Vegas Eternal and London Spitfire. I got all the way through London's attack and halfway through Paris's first 2 minutes, for like their point A attack, when I realized that my microphone wasn't recording for some unknown reason, and I just lost an hour's worth of content. So what I'm going to do is do a quick recap of that 10 minutes or so. As fast as I can, I'm going to try and hit some key points that I remember. Just as a reminder, Vegas Eternal did not have Mouthful. Mouthful had bad internet, so they moved Lukemino, their flex support, over to DPS, and their general manager, Avalla, who is a top 500 player and has been for some time, several years, stepped in for support. And Vegas almost won King's Row. The question was London playing badly? Was Vegas playing better without Mouthful? Or did they just have a pick-happy comp? So let's try and go through some of the pieces so far that I remember. First things first, Vegas have a pretty good understanding of how to play this comp. They initially stacked their BAP with their hit scan, the Hanzo, the hit scan in this comp. Avalla and Dove have a tendency to be a two-man hit squad, which makes a lot of sense. Avalla can really pocket this tracer. And then Vulcan stands in open, takes up space. They did a really decent job of defending this first point. To a point, first of all, Lukemino gets the first pick onto Lethal. He just sneaks up on him. Lethal doesn't even see him coming, and he gets that. They press forward here. They get a little bit better positioning. Dove's pressured out. I think Lukemino gets a second pick here. This was a really aggressive play from Hottie, but he negotiates this window really, really well. And then Sparkr gets Avalla. That's the big pick. Actually, it's the second time Sparkr got Avalla. Sparkr gets Avalla here, and this just opens the door for them. Because I'm not saying they were struggling, but they did lose another pick to Lukemino before this. It was sort of tough to negotiate Vegas' superior positioning, but Sparkr gets this, and it opens the door. We get to here. Sparkr again gets Avalla. Vegas was in a bad position, but Dove did land a nice stick onto Skyrippa, who was forced to use Lamp because Hottie went a little too dumb aggressive. The problem was after that, despite the fact that they get Avalla and Lukemino, and I think Rack in a second, they get Dove. London threw 4 ults into this fight. They just didn't need to do that. It was kind of wasteful. Lethal threw his Pulse Bomb after Vulcan was the only person left. It was kind of messy. Landon didn't need to throw this. Sparkr's Dragons, I have no idea where they were. I couldn't see them on the map at all. Streets phase. So, nice jockeying for position here. Come farther into the fight. Okay, so this was actually a really nice play. So I wanted to highlight this again. So London took this forward high ground positioning pretty aggressively, because they don't respect Vegas, and that's understandable. They pummel Vulcan down to literally 1 HP, and Rack Attack just lands the perfect lamp. Clutch fucking lamp. Knowing that off of this lamp, London Spitfire were going to push forward because they had this high ground with their two-man hit squad and try and collapse in the backline from behind and press forward and completely delete Vulcan and just this whole team. Avalla throws Rush down this street while Dove positions over here inside a saloon, or whatever this is, bar, restaurant, I don't know, so that they will counter-pincer this attack. London smell it just in time and manage to get out. I still question that bell from Landon. I don't think that was a good bell. But they managed to kite it pretty well. right? But that ult saves their team from getting wiped there. They position forward again. Pressure up. What Vegas don't know is that Hottie has fast farmed this Annihilation, so they're gonna make a play here in a minute that gets kind of thrown to shit because of what Hottie's just shitting out damage. See this positioning right here? So the two-man hit squad from London, they've been trying to take this high ground, you know, the Boston zone, as I like to call it, because Decay lives in this room. In order to zone out this two-man hit squad, Lukemino has popped up over here. Rack Attack has this high ground, Avalla has this high ground. They're all in pretty good position, and Dove's going around the outside again because Lethal's not here to stop him. So they've got a bit of a good firing window. Dove tries to zone them forward here. He tries to push them into the line of sight so that these guys can gain their ability. But Sparkr just marks him so badly here. Like Sparkr just has his number. This first shot, feels like it ricochets. I don't know how that happens, but nearly kills Dove, so Dove is forced to recall. And then in the actual frame he steps out of recall, he's already getting shot. Sparkr just fucking rolls him. He tries to go for the stick and assumes that Sparkr is jumping this way, so he throws it that way. Sparkr jumped the other way. So bit of a misread there from Dove, but he had a 50-50 chance. And then he just dies. So this is already like an unlucky play. Vegas try to clutch this, so Vulcan presses Annihilation. They don't know Hottie has theirs, though, so what they've done is Vulcan's gone in here to try and push Hottie using the Annihilation out of Saloon and into the waiting arms of Avalla and Rack Attack and Lukemino when he postures up around the corner and stops playing around with Landon, who's in... Is that Landon or Lethal? I can't tell. Oh, it's Landon. Lethal's on low ground, so Lukemino's got 2v1 on him. This goes wrong because Hottie can do the Annihilation and turtle in here and doesn't have to come into the death squad. Now, Vulcan's getting a lot of pocket. It just doesn't matter. This is something I thought was a bit of a mistake. Lukemino takes a bit of pressure, and Avalla drops and gives up on Vulcan, where Vulcan was getting a double pocket. He's now stuck in here. He forces Hottie out finally, but now Avalla and Lukemino aren't there. So a bit of a slight miscommunication, and Vulcan just dies for it. And that's cleanup on point 2, I think. Point 3, there's this whole thing that I went through where Dove and Lethal were jockeying for position in this room for a solid minute and a half, in which Dove was just getting the better of the duel. Yeah, that's the start of it right there. If I recall correctly, yeah, this is a great window to open the door, get them around this first corner, and they come back around, and then, if I remember correctly, down over here, Avalla just goes on this flank with Dove and hits the headshot on Landon. I think that's what happens here. Yeah, just dink. Opens the door for Vegas to come back into this. Yeah, Kirko diff indeed. They press forward. Vulcan gets greedy here. Vulcan presses up all the way over here, throws out his slow cooldown, and doesn't have his Nemesis form. 5 seconds. He realizes just a moment too late that he's overextended, runs back, his shield drops. He takes a shit ton of pressure from Lethal from behind and walks into Sparkr around the corner, manages to move his head just in time. As he gets here, Hottie throws this perfect grasp that slows him down and prevents him from getting all the way around the corner. I thought he was going to die for this, and then I noticed Sparkr threw dragons. Sparkr's throwing dragons exactly where you expect he is. I thought Vulcan was toast, but first foremost, he gets this back on, pops Nemesis form at 50 HP, at the exact same time Rack Attack gets Lamp online, so he gets out. Meanwhile, Lukemino throws an excellent counter dragons here, so even though they've cleared all this space, Avalla and Dove, now the two-man hit squad, have the side angle, and Lukemino's dragon is going through here and cuts off everyone else from Hottie, so they can't position up on a very good dragon and a misplay by Vulcan. Really heads up from Lukemino. That's just really heads up. And here we go. Lethal's back in the small room now. They have good positioning for it. And then Dove just rolls Lethal here. Lethal doesn't recall, though, because he knows that if he does, Dove just wins. So he takes all this damage and then just backs out. At the same time, Rack Attack drops Window over here, and Landon throws Rush. The window is excellent. The window, whether it was intended to counter Rush or not, has both the main area and this side door. So Hadi can no longer peek around the corner with his Nemesis form in this Kitsune Rush. Nobody can. They'll just die because you have a Hanzo on the ground looking through a window. Unfortunately, because of Kitsune Rush, Vulcan can't capitalize on it either. So the two Ramatras don't get what they want out of it. Like, they just can't do anything. Dove still controls this room, so what does Lethal do? Lethal gives up on trying to zone out Dove until he gets Skyrippa to help him out. Now that Skyrippa has pushed Dove back a little bit, Lethal takes advantage of this, uses the cart to get over to high ground here, and now he's in past where he wanted to be. That's actually a really great play between the two people over here on London. This is where things get kind of unfortunate for the Vegas Eternal. This stick was so good. Rack gets lamp out, but Avalla was already walking back here. The lamp comes out. Avalla knows it's coming. Rack's trying to get some distance so that Avalla doesn't die too. This is kind of like a miscomm, which is as to be expected from the two of them, since they've never played in a map before. Avalla, literally, great from Lethal. The pulse bomb blows up. Instantaneously takes out the immortality field. Rack goes down to 50 HP. Avalla throws Suzu, but Rack isn't anywhere near it. It's just sort of like a misunderstanding. This is the same play that actually Landon did against Boston, where you Suzu Rush or Rush Suzu. I'm not sure what the animation cancel is there, what you get, but like it's a really quick little combo. Anyway, Rack doesn't get the benefit and is sadly just deleted. It happens, and it's going to happen more often with a backline that's not used to working together. So, really nice play by Lethal. Avalla's got to do the work of two healers, and it's just not going to work, so Lukemino goes back to spawn. This is where it's like, oh, it's over, right? There's nothing to do. Dove's down. They're like, Rack's coming back. Rack is back. So 3v5. It's just, oof, what to do here. What happens is the following. Vulcan has ult online. And so Lethal takes a ton of damage, is forced to recall, goes back in to try and finish Vulcan, who's just on the edge of his Nemesis form, takes this damage, and whether intentional or not, Vulcan gets a massive Q here. Just hops through the window. This window was meant to annihilate the backline and think that like maybe Vulcan was moving back through here, but it just doesn't work out. So Vulcan steps on the other side of it, and Lethal just gets deleted instantaneously. He only had 19 HP and no recall. That's already bad for London, because it's the final point of King's Row. Lukemino, again, the flex support player, has gone over to Widowmaker. How does it play out for him? Well, Skyrippa peeks, nearly dies, uses burst, thinks he's fine. Nope. Boop. Goodbye, Skyrippa. This point is no longer winnable. Hadi has the good sense to not press Q. Cleanups here, and this is just a nasty little shot. Literally, look at that. Literal pixel that Landon was behind there. Like, damn good shot from Lukemino. Now, this is where I said I kind of wish Lukemino swapped back to Hanzo after this, because now they're ready for him. Like, this hold doesn't work nearly as well. Lethal's gone over to the Genji because Widows aren't allowed to have fun. Doesn't matter, though, because literally on the engage here, shit goes awry, right? And this is just the Sparkr difference. Sparkr is really, really good at Hanzo. I don't know exactly what his hero pool is anymore, other than hit scan. I don't remember what his Tracer looks like. It's been so long. But the fact they keep playing Lethal on Tracer probably means that Lethal is the better Tracer. They would not commit to it if they had any other choice. Because otherwise, like, or how do I put this? Sparkr is clearly the best Hanzo. And so they need someone else to play Tracer. and that means it's lethal or backbone. And as far as I can tell, they don't want backbone to do it anymore. Backbone had some tracer last year. I don't remember it being bad or good, so that doesn't tell me anything. So in this case, like, because usually this is the other thing, Vegas Eternal, Dove doesn't get to play Tracer, and Dove is a storied Tracer player. Dove has played Tracer for so long in T2, and he's looked damn good doing it, playing with the likes of King and Dynasty, and I don't remember some others, but like good T2 Tracer players, and Dove stood out amongst them. Seeker, right? Or maybe I wasn't Seeker. Maybe it was something else. I don't fucking remember. Finale? They've played. Regardless, Dove is a good Tracer player, okay? I just want to hammer this home. But he doesn't get to play Tracer because Mouthful has a hero pool that is like Genji and Reaper, Pharah and Torb. And his Sombra is apparently not on the level that Dove's is, so Mouthful's been moving into Tracer, but he's been outmatched by every Tracer they've played with, which, to be fair, includes like fucking Alpha Yi. Everybody's outmatched against Alpha Yi unless you are one of the top 10 Tracers in the world. Like, and I think Alpha Yi is number 9 or 10. I did this list in my head earlier. Maybe he's 11, maybe, but I'm Alpha Yi is incredible. So, this arrangement gives them the benefit of having a very strong Tracer player, whereas they normally haven't had that. Okay, so the reason that I bring all of this up to you is because Avalla doesn't realize she's Sonicked, and Sparkr. Just Sparkr things. Lukemino plays a little too out in the open against a Hanzo looking for shots, and Sparkr. Sparkr went up and over. That was pretty cute. And at this point, it's kind of all falling apart. That just really opens the door for them. Then they have the weight of the ultimates. Avalla plays fucking Respawn Simulator. Lukemino goes to Junkrat. Like, it was all over once Sparkr did Sparkr things. So it really doesn't even matter that Lukemino stayed Widow because Sparkr just did Sparkr things. Okay. The basic gist of that defense from Vegas was I saw a lot of like deliberate, distinct plans, which is not something I saw from their Justice game. Their Justice game was like vague plans, but they were forcing this fucking Winston Sombra Reaper shit on Oasis. And then when they ran Ramatra on Sanctum, they struggled to get the plan going, but like they ended up nanoing Mouthful's Tracer a lot to just try and give him any even edge against Alpha Yi, and it just didn't pay off. And then Hollywood they had some dives that were like disjointed, where like Dove had one idea and then it looks like Vulcan was their Winston dive shot like caller, but they needed Dove to be calling those on Sombra. And then Mouthful had like weird positioning on Tracer, like he was in some weird spots, and so even their best executed dives did not succeed very well, especially against Justice, who are a much better dive team than they are. Just much better. Okay, so 2 minutes left of what I missed in the muted recording. We've covered it in 19 minutes. Woo! All right. I'm really sad. I said some funny things. I'd like you all to imagine that I said more funny things in that time frame. Anyway, so on the attack, same comp, right? No surprises here. The first 2 minutes of this attack don't go very well. They just kind of struggle. Their positioning is interesting, but so is London's positioning, and it kind of feels like they're just playing man-to-man. Which is like weird in Overwatch terms. You really only have like Tracers marking each other, but like the way they split here, Hadi and Vulcan like square off here in an honorable, like this honorable Ramatra duel. I think Vulcan does something very silly here. Or not Vulcan. Rack Attack like ends up here and nearly gets picked up by Sparkr. No, that already happened. And then Dove pushes forward and then is out of line of sight of Avalla. The 2-man hit squad fails because there's 3 against 2. So dishonorable from you, London. They get out here only barely, but they burn so many cooldowns to get there that Vegas just walk on them. But I thought this was clever because they press so far forward. Dove goes to Widow to try and like pressure them out. Doesn't get anything for it. Swaps back. They are getting, like, people are like, just the Widow, like, stop going for the one-shot pick. But at the same time, the threat of the Widow does force their positioning and gets Vegas back in because they can't posture up against that. Like, you say what you will about Dove's Widow, which is I don't know anything about it, is like you have to respect the Widow. Sparkr gets another nice shot into Lukemino. Sparkr had a great map so far. He's really been like the difference maker for London. Even Landon had some weird positioning, but was like very active. Then yeah, so Dove goes back to keep them from getting spawn held. Don't know what the torb was. That's silly. Okay, we're getting almost back to where I was, which was in 30 seconds from now. So again, they're coming back in. Adi's in hotel. I feel like this was the point where I started getting confused because, oh no, this was it. This is where Landon made like this brutal error. He went too deep with his tracer, but they weren't able to hold this positioning because it was so far forward, and now Landon's just in fucking no man's land. Gets caught out, has to get lamped, nearly dies, manages to teleport out in time. Dove comes to chase it, but walks right into this fucking trio and nopes the hell out of there. So all of that forced because Landon got a little too aggressive. Now he's off the field, and Hottie almost gets burned out here. He's forced to use his Nemesis form just to survive, but now Vegas Eternal have all the positioning in the world. They're on the point. They're on the point, and Lethal's back in the back line because that's where he's staged and just hangs out here. Rack's getting a little pressure, but Hottie wasn't able to move forward because they turned all of their resources onto saving Landon from his over-aggression. They forced the recall out of Lethal, and this was where I realized that my mic wasn't recording sound, and I lost my shit for a minute. So, now that you've all caught up to that, okay, 20 minutes to cover an hour's worth of shit. Oh my god. So anyway, the gist of what I covered in that first area was Vegas do look improved. It is a pick-heavy comp, sure, but they do have to be maneuvering so that London gets into these awkward positions where it's easier for Lukemino to get it. Now, Lukemino did get the first two picks, probably because they underestimated him, but otherwise, Avalla's playing pretty great. Rax had clutch fucking lamp timings. Vulcan's looked pretty good on this, although still some over-aggression at points, but he's done pretty well. And Dove has done a great job zoning Lethal, specifically marking Lethal on the defense, which he needed to do to defend his backline. The only time he couldn't do it was because he got double-teamed by Skyrippa, and that's when Lethal got into the backline and opened up point 3. Because Lethal opened up point 3, and then they still got repulsed from it, and Sparkr opened up all of the major engagements. Sparkr is the one who like really drove this game. Okay, so this was what was weird. Lukemina's shooting over here because Landon is down here. Lethal is here. Hottie, Skyrippa, and wait. Oh, Sparkr's way back here. So Lukemino has to be shooting at Landon. I have no idea why Landon is here. I don't get it. I do not understand. It is confusing the hell out of me. I don't know what he's doing here. I don't even know how the fuck he got here. I'm guessing he climbed up this wall and just walked over, and Lukemino's zoning him. He can get out, sure, but he just doesn't provide value over here. Unless he's trying to get to Lethal to go on this dive. He could, but I don't know. I don't think it's worth it. And Avalla gets Lethal. That's just a great shot by Avalla. That's just a great shot by Avalla because Lethal's just standing out here waiting for something. And now the door's open again. And Landon is down here. I don't get it. This is a fuck up by London. London kind of trolled this first point defense, but like, they shouldn't have. I guess Landon does realize he played like shite on this one because he apologized in a tweet about this. But like, this is just a little silly from them. Not sure, like, you can't disrespect, like, I get that you can disrespect Vegas, but if you ran Lifeweaver against this, like, to disrespect them, they would have taken the map. By the way, they almost take this map, in case, spoiler alert. So, okay, no tracer. Dove is now free. Oh shit. Here he come. Lukemino's in trouble, though. Landon didn't give up on this, and Lukemino's in deep trouble, Oh, right. But this is the eternal pocket from Avalla that was caught on. So this is arrogant from Landon in a way, but like he smelled blood and just thought that he could close it out. And on the one hand, one Kiriko distracting Kiriko and Hanzo. It's a good trade, but unfortunately, because Dove is free, because Lethal is dead, Hadi's done. Hadi is toasty ghosty. And do you see Avalla's like, Avalla was like, there's no way. There's no way Landon's going to continue this. Oh. Can't do it. And finally, Landon dies. Okay. Bit silly, bit of a troll from London Spitfire. And people are going to be like, oh, it's just the comp making the difference. No! It's kind of the players, and they're also like working as a team, and they have like good plans. Their plans are actually there. The plans that I saw that where they were just executing badly are now like coming to fruition in this comp. Now, the timings are easier with this comp than they are for dive. That's just, again, holy shit, Sparkr. Where was Avalla? Was Avalla on high ground? I think Avalla was on high ground. Or was she on main? Was she on main and just got punished for no reason? Dove's posturing up to hold this area just in case they try and come through. Okay, Avalla was just on cart. This is just Sparkr doing Sparkr things, because I don't even know what to say to that. That's just Sparkr doing Sparkr things. Okay, grasp down to let them disengage for free. Get back to the cart. They're down to players. They don't want to get walked on. Four ultimates online, though. Dove controls hotel, or whatever this is. I keep calling it a hotel. I don't really know what it is. Saloon? Not the saloon. There's so many different maps. Restaurant place. Pretty aggressive posturing up, and then two-man hit squad going on a flank. If they perceive the two-man hit squad is over here, Vegas might just press Q and try and win. They get the slow. He was about to throw it, and the lamp came out, and he's just like, nah, can't do it anymore. And then he overthinks it. Lamp forced from Spitfire because of that aggressive play. Great rush. Rush forced from Landon. Just misses Sparkr. Unlucky. But it does clip Landon. Dove puts the pressure onto Hadi, who... Bit of an odd play from Dove, but whatever. They win. Hadi just gets fucking deleted. And they burned all of their ults. They all pressed Q. Lethal doesn't hit his stick. Sparkr's dragons are not in the right position. Lukemino's dragons go first. This is a really great dragon from Lukemino. It's like right along this pathway where they have the rush. Because Spitfire engaged so heavily on this, they're just fucked. Counter dragons from Sparkr is really late in this fight. Lethal's deep. Did not hit the stick. Sparkr's trying to catch them from hotel. Does he? They held on to Lamp that long. London wasn't pressuring them at all. Rack held Lamp that long. Lukemino dinks Landon. It's basically cleaning up at this point anyway, but like they're playing a silly ring around the rosy game, and they might get another fight because of it. Okay, that's actually... This got messy from Vegas because London scattered in a pretty, like, random way, and they never got lethal. I think that's lethal, right? Yeah. But the bad news for them is they're so far back, and only lethal can close that distance, but he's the farthest back. They climb this wall, but Vulcan just gets out. He doesn't have his Nemesis form, though, which is kind of a problem. Adi is back, but they don't like this fight because they're on two fronts. They're so fucked by not getting the proper cleanup. Like, they get Dove, and that's it. And they can camp Dove out, but because they couldn't collapse, because Vulcan was up in this position and he would just walked on him from behind, that was the thing. Like, they would have just collapsed on them either way. London, like, got forced into a bad position and then never recovered. If they try to engage from the front here, if they try to, like, pincer, they can engage from both sides, but there's enough members of Vegas here to just turn and walk on at least one group of them. And then Dove will be in faster than any of the reinforcements. And lethal can't even touch. Okay. So they finally decide to take the fight. Not an advantageous one, and it's a really good window from Rack. They can turtle behind here. Sparkr loses a lot of value, or at least isn't going to hit a shot as easily. Lethal has to force them out in a way, and so these two are going to collapse on them, but they're going to get the Kiriko first, I think, right? Landon's dead. Right? Landon's dead, right? Oh, Landon gets out. That's silly. Great lamp from Skyrippa, though. But the window's still very strong, and his window is not getting that much value. Even Sparkr got pressured out from up there because Dove is back. So Sparkr's like, I can't stand there. Gives up the window. Vulcan now gets to use his ult, and that's just, I think, all she wrote, right? There's no way. I mean, yeah, this is just, there's nothing else to say here. Better ults. Lethal does get another pulse bomb, but Rack is ready for it. And Dove's not fully chased out. He can come back in. No lamp is a problem, but Skyrippa used his earlier. And they're just camping on cart. Now, the longer this fight goes on, the better it gets for London, except Lukemino gets Landon. Lukemino just 1v2s over here. Makes it out. Gets the... Dude. Fucking ridiculous. Pays for it with his life. Doesn't matter. They've made it across point B with 3 minutes and 32 seconds. And this is one of those things where, like, if Lukemino had gone back to Hanzo instead of Widow for that final fight on defense, he might not have gotten picked off so easily by Sparkr. And just losing Avalla wouldn't have been a death knell, and they could have stalled to 0, and then they would have won this map. And if you're London Spitfire, being that close to losing a map to Vegas, not good. Worse because it's Avalla in. Not even the normal players on this team. Do I think that's true? In that fight, sure. Like, they didn't really close it out the way they wanted to. Dove just kept pestering Sparkr out of his location, and Sparkr reacted really heavily to it. But then, like, they didn't clutch up on any of their moments either. This comp is about burning out cooldowns and letting your hit scan play. So, I mean, that's what they did. Okay. So, again, Dove's going to control this room. He's got backup from Avalla. Bap. Going to pocket Lukemino. And Vulcan's going to posture up. This is really dangerous, though, because Sparkr has complete control of this high ground. And nearly takes off Rack's head right there. Lethal's holding left over here. Or I guess for them, right? I think if Dove... Okay, Dove recognizes it and postures up really aggressively. Look at how quickly this happens. Lethal gets forced. Okay, so Lethal was contesting. He gets forced out. And the second he gets forced out, Dove's like, okay, I go in now. And he does the same thing Lethal did. He pops the cart, hops up over here. Now he's got this high ground here. If Lethal goes in, he's going to pay for it. Or if he just shows himself, he dies. Like, people, this is what I mean when I tell you, if Vegas had a third DPS who could play more hit scans or could play Sombra, if they had a different DPS, Dove can play Tracer, and he's really good at it. And this team can work around that. That was just like literal textbook, controlling this zone and controlling this area on this point of the map against Tracer, v Tracer. That would not have happened if Malthol was in. I haven't seen that from Malthol. Like, I haven't seen that. Or if he does go to control, he loses the duel. And again, in his defense, Alpha Yi, right? It's fucking Alpha Yi. But who else have they played, right? Who else? Who else have the Vegas Eternal played? Let me look at this. Because now I just don't remember. Florida, checkmate. Fair. Justice, Alpha Yi. Fair. Okay. So, Dove probably can't stand against them either, admittedly. I still feel like it looks better, though. I feel like Dove can play Tracer better on the defense than Malthol can. And granted, my sample size is Lethal, and on the other hand, Checkmate and Alfie. It feels lopsided, I know, but like, I believe in Dove so much. Dove is one of these T2 players that I followed for like 2 years, and I was just like, man, I hope they get in the league. And they do, and it's just been on this shit show org that won't buy enough, or won't give their team enough money to pay for all the players and staff they need to be a successful team, because they haven't done that since 2020. Well, technically 2021, they at least hired 2 coaches and substitutes, and then gave up on it all. I don't know. This org just pisses me off. But like, this works so well for Vegas. I actually said this on Reddit. It's like, do you remember in 2020 when the Washington Justice got to bench their Winston one trick, who was never supposed to play all the other main tanks? He was their Winston specialist. And he had to learn all these other main tanks in hero pools, which was like a once a week swapping of who was allowed in the lineups. If you don't remember it, it was hell. It was fucking awful. And a lot of old guard players retired after 2020. And Roar was this player who was supposed to be the no smite of the Washington Justice, because Lulsish was the main tank. And Lulsish never gets his visa, so Roar has to play everything. He's a Winston specialist. He burns out. He looks like the worst tank in the league. And the Justice get to bench him for a DPS player off-rolling on Zarya. And the Justice almost beat the unbeatable San Francisco Shock. And it's a sweep. It's almost a sweep, but Shock and they reverse sweep. But like, that's this moment right here, where an off-roller steps in, and now the rest of the team can do what they're supposed to do. Anyway, Kitsune rush down there. Decent zoning dragons. Better dragons from Lukemino. Just a better dragons from Lukemino. Holding this zone over here is so dangerous for them, and Lukemino like capitalizes on it. Dove was because Lethal's down, Dove is free to go into this backline and push them in here a little bit. The Kitsune rush helps with that. Like, this is actually really masterful from Vegas. Regardless of the lethal pick, they've got control of this with the rush. So these guys can't walk out onto that. They'll die. So they turtle back over here. Sparkr throws dragons across the card to cut off the back line, and hopefully this runs out and they can just pressure out the front line here. But before that happens, knowing they're all in this tiny fucking room, Lukemino just throws dragons straight down there. And my word. Okay, Vulcan gets pulsed. Weird lamp. But you wanted to make sure he didn't die. And now Vegas have it. They have it all off of the back of Dove outplaying Lethal in just the most classic textbook Tracer way. And I mean, if you are the Eternal, you should feel happy about that. It's the most map points you've got all year. If you're London, I'd be worried. Okay. Okay. So, on the defense, this comes down to like one fight on the defense, and I'll pause it when we get there. And I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, it's just Sparkr. Sparkr saved them this map. And it's not at the end of the map, it's on like the second to last fight of this attack. So where are we holding here? All right, Bap high ground, Kiriko high. Wait. Right? Lukemino's on low ground? Okay. Dove's forced out by, I assume, Lethal. Because Sparkr didn't hit that. So Lethal clears Dove from this high ground. Lukemino's in hotel, takes a stray. He has to get out. He has to live. Vulcan's there to peel, but they force lamp. Oh, this is a troll. This is kind of bad from Lukemino. This room is like not. That's bad positioning from Lukemino. This setup was not it. This setup was not it. This was way too aggressive. He came into hotel but got caught on the way out. Even like showing himself to Sparkr in that way was kind of silly. I don't know why he didn't start on high ground again. So they lose lamp. Rack Attack is back here with him. Gets heavy pressured. This is where it falls apart for them, right? Because they get through this fight. They have to take it here. Yep, and now he's just dead. Because he's still on the low ground. Sparkr just has a free fucking shooting gallery because Lethal cleared Dove. And he's sonicked, so Dove is at a disadvantage even over here, so Dove can't deal with him. But if you had this is just a positional error from Vegas. Vegas got a little too silly with it. Because like Lukemino's, like this isn't the worst positioning now, but Hottie's just going to push them into Sparkr's sightline, and Sparkr is uncontested, and you cannot leave Sparkr uncontested. That is just a nice little shot there, and that's the defense of A. Avalla comes in to peel Dove. It's not enough. Now, if I remember correctly, Hottie letting Avalla get in here is part of what helps them on this next fight. But Sparkr does something here. I don't think he gets a pick, but he puts down a ton of damage. He nearly gets rack. So they get 2 ticks. Grasp from Vulcan on the archway, so they can't push forward. So this was almost about to be a really good like forward hold from Vegas. They had the tools sort of. Avalla didn't get much done. I mean, neither did Landon, so that's about right. But Rack had the window, right? Rack's window came in so quickly, even though Lukemino like couldn't get anything done. They don't realize how close Sparkr is to dragons though, and you'll see why. So they know they're going to take this fight here. The mistake that happens is not realizing how close Sparkr is to dragons and feeding him that ult. Because what he does with it is the map winner. And I do mean the entire map winner. So, boom, he's got it online. And the problem with this one is you need to hold this space, and dragons is the space denier. But even more than that, he like because it takes too long for Vegas to set up. This is maybe they were a little too slow, or maybe they just didn't want to get caught out ahead of time. They needed this fight to be perfect. This two-man hit squad should already be in position. They just stalled a little too long. They were trying to not give away the game or not be in position too early and forced out and then lose their whole plan. But I think they're a little too late here. So, Sonic's out. Sparkr sees 1-2. Does recognize... Dove gives away the flank. But they recognize that it's not good enough anyway. Lethal goes to contest them. And Sparkr hits this, which instantly obliterates Lukemino. Luke never had a chance. Just instantly. No, just didn't have a chance to react. Just destroyed. Suzu's a second too late. And now Lethal's in on the high ground. This window also sucks. I mean, Rack kind of blew this window, but like... This was done the second Sparkr got dragons. Now, that said, Vulcan still pops ult. I think he still dies for it, too. Because when did he pop ult? When did Vulcan say winnable? Literally a... Oh, man, as Rack died. Oh, the fumble. The fumble. He's still alive, though. Wait a minute. Avalla's just hard pocketing his ass. Avalla's just hard pocketing his ass, and Dove is doing whatever. Dove's there with him. Oh, wait, is that... No, that's Avalla. Where's Dove? Nobody is looking at Avalla. She is getting away with absolute fucking murder. Okay, I guess Dove's back over here. Right? Yeah, Dove was back over here, so she got out. London still almost fumble this. Well, actually, technically they do. Because they let this happen. This is such a mistake. That nobody looked at Avalla. And because of that, Vulcan gets out alive. Now, used the Q. But the rush, the pulse, that's online. Still outnumbered here, but that's a window. You needed to slam that window shut. Okay. So how do Vegas clutch this? Clutch, in a sense. They still lose this map, but you have to understand that Vegas nearly winning this map is a clutch for Vegas. Okay. Avalla throws rush down main, same as they did before. Lukemino's in a weird position for it, so I think this is a bit of just like Vulcan wants to go. And that's one thing I noticed about this team. When Vulcan wants to go, they go. So Lukemino gives up on this. Maybe they realized that they were farther along than they thought. And Sparkr just gets obliterated. Hold on. How? Oh, that's gotta be a headshot. Alright, Suzu's out, Rush is down. Lamp is forced, Window's down, Hottie's in Annihilation. Vulcan lives that because of the bell. Lamp is out, so Vulcan stays up. Dove sticks Skyripper. Lethal sticks Vulcan. Hottie is so low, Avalla burns him down with the help of the others. And they can't touch. And if you are London, like at this point, they had to be sweating. 230 to get across this? Nearly did it too. So how did it go wrong for them? How did it not work out for Paris? Vegas. They're not Paris anymore. So, same comp in the defense. Okay. So just again, pointing out the giga trolling that Lukemino did on that defense. Look where these guys are. Look where these guys are. Baptiste up high. Hanzo up high. Tracer, Kiriko, wherever they want to be. They could be denying this high ground. Don't know that Dove's going to go for it, but notice that they're the unit and Hanzo's on high ground. You can still just dink a Hanzo on high ground. It can happen, but like Lukemino let himself get pressured down by Hottie because he was inside this fucking room, over aggressively positioning. Which again, he's not a DPS. I am concerned about London. Okay. Dove pressuring the shit out of Hottie. Holy fuck. They just all turned on Hottie. My god. Okay, Lamp forced early. Hottie will live it. Woo! Lethal nearly gets the one clip onto Lukemino there. Forced to get out. Lukemino's safe. Vulcan and Dove maybe a little too deep. Dove's behind them. They chase them all the way off the point, get a free tick. For free. Because they just hard inted onto Hottie and he wasn't ready for it. But also, like, Landon and Lethal were, like, not doing anything. Do you know? They were in that tiny... They were in the mega room. So they just didn't do anything. These guys were free to... Dove was perfectly unchallenged to just walk on Hottie. Okay. They give up 2 ticks. For free. And then catch Avalla. Sparkr again. Sparkr again. Because if Sparkr doesn't hit that, suddenly that's an open cap with 2 minutes left. Not good. Alright, Landon gets Dove. Pays for his aggression. Good chase down. Rack's gonna die. Rack doesn't die. Rack's gonna die. Landon's behind him. Great. Two ticks. 2 ticks in 1 minute for nothing. One pick opens the door. If you're London, like, you played this way too close. Now, Sky's gonna have window. I wonder if they know Vulcan is that close to Annihilation. I just saw it again. What is it with them holding Mega Room? If you're gonna hold that side, why not just go high ground to begin with? Because then you can prevent any high ground like optioning. Also, by the way, they're on low ground, but look where Sparkr is, like in fucking Narnia and going up to high ground. Custer was right. It would have been the funniest fucking thing in the world. I would have died of laughter. Okay. Okay. And then see, okay, so this is what they were trying to do both times, is this delayed flank. And they were ready for it this time. So, like, the aggressive play that they did before, they were like, no, we're waiting for it. Comes out here. Pressure forces the Suzu. Scott says the thing that I did. Scott, Custa, what's wrong with me? But again, they actually just did the same thing again. Dove, Avalla, and Vulcan hard press W onto Hottie. Like, you can say that they're just like playing for pick comps, but this is a really good understanding of what Spitfire were doing on this defense, which was this weird 2-man hit squad on low ground, waiting for them to come in all the way. And it's like, okay, we'll oblige your trap, you split your focus, and we'll walk on your fucking tank. Like, that's a really good awareness from Vegas. Holding Lamp this time, but still has it forced because Hottie's not getting healed fast enough. Window drops. It's a great window, by the way. Counter window, Hottie's lower, and Vulcan already has Annihilation online. Now, being forced to use Annihilation here sucks. It's the best ultimate they have. They need to get a clean team fight win. London can't even touch. Okay. Clean enough. Clean enough. So that's a really good punish by Vegas. They recognized this, whatever this defense was, they just walked through it and punished Hottie. Both times. Both times on that attack, they did the exact same thing. They did the exact same thing. Lukemino wasn't even looking at Hottie. Both times, Lukemino was watching for this shit. Both times, he was not even looking at Hottie, and Hottie still almost got burst down. I think they should have just stacked cart. 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 No! Would it have made it? If they just stacked cart, would it have made it in time? If they'd stacked 3 on cart, would it have made it in time? Because you have to understand, for like a good 15 seconds, okay, they have 2 on cart here. They have 1 on cart from 30 seconds until... Dude, it's like 9 seconds of 1 person on cart. And then another... And then it's back to 1! Okay, no, it's 2. That's not fast enough for it to count. So 18 seconds that they could have had 3 people on cart. I think that's... Hey guys, as of editing this video, I decided that I wanted to do a little math and figure out whether or not it was actually possible for Vegas Eternal to have gotten across the line if they had 3-stack cart. You gain the ability to 3-stack cart at 5 meters out of the garage. Up until that point, it moves at a steady rate, but at 5 meters exactly, you gain the ability to stack 3 on cart. At 1 person on cart, it moves 100% of speed. At 3 people on cart, it moves at 133% of speed, or a third faster. So, I had to do a little digging. The numbers aren't exactly published anywhere, but visually, if I had to guess, it appears that 1 person on cart moves at approximately 1.6 repeating meters per second. Or 1.67, and 3 people on cart at a 33% increase moves at 2.22 meters per second, roughly. Now, Vegas gained the ability to stack cart. It moves at 5 meters out of the garage at 42 seconds left on the clock. They have to move it from 5 meters to about 67 meters, roughly. So it's 62 meter distance they need to cover. The earliest touch that I see is lethal at approximately around 12 seconds. It's possible if he beelined for the cart, instead of trying to set up for positioning, he could have got there maybe a second or so earlier, but hard to tell. In any case, at 3 stacking the cart at 2.2 meters per second, it would take approximately just under 30 seconds to move 67 meters. So starting at 5 meters, 62, like... It would be very close. If they had 3-stacked cart, Lethal would have been forced to hard blink into touch with no good positioning, probably immediately recall, and then they would have to trickle in and hope they could win off ultimates. But they'd be walking into the Vegas meat grinder. So is it a certainty that 3-stacking would have won? Absolutely not. Does it feel very likely given the distance and how long it took London to come back from bad spawns? Kind of. Anyway, that's my math. It's not an exact science, and I could very easily be wrong about like the speed of it. It's just a by eye calculation and some funky little like comparisons, but I will never know. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the video. I get it if you're not confident in that distance, but I think if they 3-stack, they probably... Oh, man. They would at least be like here. And then Lethal would have to take a bad touch. Lethal would have to take a bad touch. They have to pop ults just to get there. Okay. But this, I mean, to be fair, this fight for Vegas, they should just lose. The core ults are here, right? Dragons, Annihilation, and Rush. Avalla doesn't have Rush yet. And Vulcan had to burn it. Like, this really isn't winnable for Vegas. But they needed it to be so winnable. And they're still... Did you see that? They all got off cart for like a half a second there. Like, this is just silly. Okay. Dragons are out. Pretty good dragons, actually. But Hottie just presses W to get past it. Better dragons. Lukemino gets lethal. It's the least impactful pick because the ultimates are out, but it's a good pick. Good for you, Lukemino. Getting one more on the back half. All right, Kitsune rushes down. Vulcan's just in trouble. Zoned away from his backline. He can't do much, and Hottie's got Annihilation. Lamp comes out, but it's not going to last more than a split second. Just instantly destroyed. And Luke blows up at the same time because Sparkr hits another headshot. The point that I really am trying to make with all of this, it is not just that they played like a pick-happy comp. They played very comfortable heroes for them. I don't know why they forced Rush on Havana. I think they would have been better served in another comp, but maybe they were just so afraid of Hottie on that Rush comp because they knew London were going to run that. Like, if it's Havana, London are not going to play Sigma if they can avoid it. Unless you force them to play Sigma, they're not going to. Or Diva, or Ball, or literally any other comp. They're going to play Rush, and they're going to hold you in spawn as long as they can. The biggest problem that Vegas have is still the same thing that I thought it was, which is their roster has been so inflexible that they were not able to play heroes that suited them. And it is silly to me that Lukemino's Hanzo was so good that just changed the game for them. Because someone who was not Dove got to play Hanzo. Where Dove did not want to play Hanzo. Dove does not want to play Hanzo. Not really. Dove would rather play Tracer. Dove would rather play Ashe. Right? Those are two heroes I know Dove for pretty damn well. He would rather do either of those things than fucking Sombra. And, like, can you fix it with this roster? Sure. Show me the Mouthful Sombra. Show me the Mouthful Sombra. What's to lose anymore? What's to lose? Because if he turns out that they're good with the teamwork with him on the Sombra and Dove on the Tracer, like, I think their Dive can turn it around. Because the biggest problem they have with Dive is that they're not the most coordinated team. Because they don't know how to anticipate each other's movements, and they tend to, like, forego setups for improvisation. Like, there's... I believe... This game makes me believe in this team, and I shouldn't believe in this team. Because it's kind of a disgrace that they can just put their fucking GM in. But, like, was this not entertaining? I was incredibly entertained by this. I just... Anyway, that's it for this one. I'm still really mad I lost the long form video because of my mic not doing anything. But again, Rack has some weird BAP-isms because he doesn't usually play it. Avalla was great on Kiriko, not so great on Lucio. Again, it doesn't matter. Avalla's the GM and not a player. Vulcan looked pretty good on Ramatra, less comfortable on Reinhardt when they played it. I think they played Reinhardt, yeah. Or did they just force Ramatra? I can't remember. But the Lucio comps are weaker for this team. And I think that's just a mechanical thing, I think. Quite frankly, I think you'd rather have Avalla on Baptiste on that one. I'm not quite sure why they didn't do it that way. Because I thought Avalla was a flex support player, if I remembered correctly, but whatever. Because Rack does Lucio and is comfortable on it. Lukemino popped the fuck off on Hanzo. Otherwise was very quiet, but popped the fuck off on Hanzo. And Dove getting to play Tracer was what I've wanted from this roster running Dive. Please do it. He fucking rolled lethal when it mattered. He completely checked him. For London, their DPS swaps are not clear yet. I think Lethal has like a lot of upside. I'm just not sure what his hero pool is other than Tracer Specialist. And if you just want him as a Tracer Specialist, why not keep Shax? Sparkr, I don't remember Sparkr's Tracer, so maybe he's not the best Tracer, but he is definitely the best Hanzo. So if you're gonna play these Hanzo comps, like, keep rolling with that. And you have the best Mei in the world in Backbone. That's still true. So, you know, I'm not that worried about London, but London's probably sweating after this one. That was way too close. That's way too close. And if London wants to be as good as they were last year, this is not a good showing. But they kind of feel the bad vibes, and they're gonna fix it, I think. I want to see some other comps out of them. This one's fine for them. They understand it, and Sparkr gets to go ham. But anyway, I digress. Hope you've enjoyed this content. I wish I had a better video for you and hadn't lost the first hour to sound problems, but I did. I'll put this up as soon as I can. I'm sure I won't be the only person. If you enjoy this content, like, subscribe, and I will keep doing it. All right. Good night.